It's a little after 3 in the morning, and your eyes are open. You didn't decide this, you didn't set an alarm. But here you are, awake in the dark, staring at the gray shape of the ceiling and listening to your own heartbeat. You start doing the math. 4 hours left, maybe 5. If you fall back fast, then you tell yourself to stop doing the math because the math is part of the problem. And somewhere under the irritation sits a smaller, colder thought you try not to look at directly. The thought that something inside you is broken. It isn't. For almost the entire time human beings have existed, waking in the dead center of the night was not a symptom of anything. No disorder, no diagnosis. It was so common, so expected that people gave it a name. They named the waking, and they named the sleep on either side of it. And the moment you learn those names, the fear you feel at 3 a.m. begins to come loose. Here is the part nobody mentions. When they hand you a sleep tracker and a bottle of melatonin, that single block of 8 unbroken hours you chase every night, the solid brick of blackout you feel robbed of when you surface too soon, maybe the newest and strangest way of sleeping human beings have ever tried. Your ancestors didn't beat insomnia by sleeping harder than you. They beat it by never inventing it. Stay with me, because how they manage that is stranger than it sounds. And by the end, you'll know exactly what the oldest part of you is asking for the next time you wake in the dark. It begins with a historian named Roger Ekirch. He spent more than a decade reading the things ordinary people left behind: diaries, court testimony, prayer manuals, a physician's scribbled advice, poems no one had opened in 300 years, and he kept tripping over the same strange phrase in one language after another. First sleep, people wrote about their first sleep the way you'd mention the first half of a journey casually, as if everyone alive already knew a second half was coming. In Old English, it was first sleep and second sleep. The French wrote of mai sua mai, the Italians primo sonno. Ekirch turned up more than 500 of these references, scattered across centuries and countries and classes of people who never met. They all describe the same thing. You lie down, not long after dark. You sleep hard for a few hours. Then, somewhere near midnight, you rise up out of it, not with a gasp, not clawing at the sheets. You simply come awake, calm and clear, into a pocket of the night that had its own name too. They called it the watch. An hour, often more, of dim and quiet wakefulness set right in the middle of the night, and people used it. Picture one of them, a woman in a cold stone cottage in the year 1600. No light anywhere but the red bank coals in the hearth. She wakes in the black quiet, draws a blanket around her shoulders, lays a fresh log on the embers. The fire catches. For a while, she just sits there in the orange flicker, half inside a dream, still turning over something a neighbor said at the well. She isn't anxious about the hour. There is no hour. When the warmth and the stillness have done their work, she lies back down and falls into her second sleep until the gray light comes. Nobody in Ekirch's records is panicking. Nobody lies there convinced the night is ruined. The waking wasn't a crack in their sleep. It was a room inside the night, and every one of them knew how to step into it. So where did it go? How does an entire way of sleeping just vanish? The short answer is light. When bright, cheap, artificial light flooded into human life, the evening stretched later and later. Bedtime slid back. The long night shrank to a narrow window, and the two sleeps were pressed together into one hard block. Within a few generations, people forgot the watch had ever existed, and the ordinary midnight waking, now homeless, got a new name and a much darker feeling stapled to it. You know the name, insomnia, but your body may not have forgotten. That's where a scientist named Thomas Wehr comes in, working at the National Institute of Mental Health. Wehr wanted to know what human sleep would do if you stripped the modern light back out and handed people the long nights their ancestors actually lived inside. So he ran the experiment. He placed a group of volunteers into 14 hours of darkness every night, the way a person would meet deep winter with no lamp and no screen and no glow of any kind. At first they slept in one long stretch, paying down the debt most people carry around. But after a few weeks, something old surfaced. Their sleep quietly split in two. Would sleep for several hours, wake into a stretch of calm alertness that lasted 1 to 3 hours, then sink back into a second sleep. Nobody had told them a word of history. None of them had read a page of Ekirch. Their bodies rebuilt the watch from nothing, and there was a detail that turns the whole thing over. During that middle waking, Wehr measured a surge of prehistory, a hormone your body pours out in states of deep rest, the same calm chemical that settles through a mother nursing a child. His volunteers didn't describe the waking as distress. They described it as meditative, almost peaceful. A stillness most modern people go their whole lives without touching. Sit with that. The exact moment that sends you reaching for your phone with your heart going quick, that hour of wakefulness in the dark, was for your ancestors one of the most restful stretches of the entire day. So here comes the twist, and it lands hard. Insomnia, at least the kind where you wake in the small hours and can't draw back under, may not be your body breaking down at all. It may be your body running an old and faithful program, doing precisely what it evolved to do, and then slamming into a brand new belief that you were supposed to stay unconscious the whole way through. The waking is ancient. The panic about the waking is the new thing. You're not failing at sleep, you're wrestling an inheritance. Now, before this ties up too neatly, real life complicates it, and the complication makes it better. Because not every human society sleeps in 2 shifts. A team led by Gandhi, Dish and the EUCOA sleep scientist, Jerome Siegel, went out and measured sleep in 3 of the last groups on Earth, still living close to the way your deep ancestors did. The Hadza, hunting and foraging in Tank. The San, in the Kalahari. The Tsimane, along the rivers and forests of Bolivia. No electricity, no thermostats, no clocks buzzing anyone awake. What they measured overturned nearly everything you'd expect. These people do not sleep more than you, they sleep less. Often under 7 hours, sometimes closer to 6. They don't lie down at sunset. They stay up deep into the dark, talking low around the embers. They almost never nap. And in a detail that should stop you cold, the languages of these groups have no word for insomnia. The thing is so absent from their lives that no one ever needed to name it. So what runs their sleep if not the clock and not even the sun, the cold? Yet Dish and Siegel found that the strongest force setting when these people slept wasn't light at all. It was falling temperature. They drifted down as the night air cooled, and they woke nearly all of them close to the coldest point of the whole night. That hour just before dawn, when the temperature bottoms out, their sleep didn't chase the light, it followed the drop. And you still carry that wiring, all of it, for you to fall asleep. Your core temperature has to fall first. It is one of the most dependable triggers of sleep in the human body, which means the warm, sealed climate, controlled bedroom you think of as comfort, may be quietly wiping out the very signal your ancestors' bodies leaned on every single night of their lives. So set the pieces side by side, and the strange way your ancestors beat insomnia finally comes clear. They carried no rigid 8-hour target to fail against. So awaking in the middle of the night never had the chance to curdle into a crisis. They let the cold of the dark, not a number glowing on a nightstand, shape their sleep. And when they woke in the black quiet, they didn't lunge for a screen or start tallying the hours they'd lost. They lay still, let the calm move through them, and trusted the second sleep to arrive, because it always did. That is the thing you can carry into tonight. The next time you wake at 3 a.m., the oldest part of you is not broken and is not raising an alarm. It's doing what it has done for 100,000 years. So keep your hand off the phone, because that light tells your brain the long night is finished. Let the room stay cool. Let your eyes stay shut. And instead of bracing against the waking as proof that something's wrong with you, meet it as what it has always been. The watch, the quiet old room in the middle of the night that belonged to every ancestor whose blood you carry. The second sleep comes far more easily to someone who has stopped fighting for it. So the next time it's a little after 3 and your eyes open by themselves in the dark, don't reach for the word broken. Reach for the older one. You are not lying there awake and failing, you are keeping the watch. And some ancient, patient part of you has been keeping it all along. If the world you came from feels a little closer now, that's exactly the point. Subscribe, and every week we'll uncover another piece of who you used to be.